Hey gold bugs, a great way to buy gold below spot price is by buying scrap gold. To learn how to buy scrap gold, please watch our free educational video series on YouTube and on our website, goldpartyllc.com. Thanks.
Bye-bye Beltway. Chris Dodd, the five-term senator behind efforts to overhaul the financial industry and health care reform, announcing he will not seek re-election. And he isn't the only Democrat leaving the loop. Rich Edson is in Washington with the details. Could this kill the 60 Senate majority that the Democrats now have?
Well, it all depends on those elections, and it may not affect really which way they go. In fact, the Dodd announcement may help Democrats in the end. But first, Senator Byron Dorgan beat the Dodd news by just a few hours last night. As a Democrat who has a generation of experience on Capitol Hill, Dorgan was the first to pass on another re-election campaign for 2010. Earlier this afternoon, Senator Chris Dodd officially announced he's sitting out his first Senate race in 30 years. In the past year, opponents have hit the Connecticut senator on the AIG bonus protections, the sweetheart mortgage scandal, and accused him of a cozy relationship with Wall Street. Dodd says he loves his job, but he's in the toughest political shape of his career, and then dismissed any claims a 2010 election defeat would have been a certainty.
Now let me be clear. I'm very aware of my present political standing here at home in Connecticut. But it is equally clear that any certain prediction about an election victory or defeat nearly a year from now would be absurd.
As chairman of the Banking Committee, Senator Dodd has led the financial overhaul efforts in the Senate. First in line to take Dodd's spot, Senator Tim Johnson says he wants the job, and a spokesperson for the South Dakota Democrats says he is up to the task and has the confidence of the majority leader and the committee. Johnson suffered a cerebral hemorrhage in 2006, and that has limited his speech and his mobility. Back to you.
By the way, Joe Lieberman, notwithstanding, Connecticut is a pretty Democratic state, but not so with North Dakota. So Democrats may be hurt more by Dorgan leaving than by Dodd leaving, correct?
Correct, David. And right now, it looked as though Dorgan was going to go against the popular Republican governor in that state. So potentially he was looking ahead to another tough re-election campaign, much like Dodd was. The election landscape doesn't change all that much with Dorgan leaving. That's what analysts say. But that Dodd announcement opens the door for Richard Blumenthal. He's the popular attorney general for the state of Connecticut, and that could actually bring Connecticut, keep it in the Democrats' column. But again, we're a ways off here, about 10 months till Election Day.
It's still exciting stuff. Rich Edson, thank you very much. Well, who stands to benefit now that Dodd is out of the running? Peter Schiff is Euro-Pacific Capital president. He threw his hat into the ring for this race back in September as a Republican. He joins me now in an exclusive interview with his reaction. And the rumor coming out of Washington is the reason why Chris Dodd is leaving is because of you. He just didn't have the nerve to face Peter Schiff. Is that true?
Obviously. And, you know, the real winner in this is the American taxpayer, because Chris Dodd's not going to be there anymore. But unfortunately, he's got another year and he can do a lot more damage before he leaves.
All right. Well, you are facing now, not necessarily, definitely not Chris Dodd, but possibly, and we'll find out for sure in a few minutes, Blumenthal, Attorney General. Now, he has had some popularity with some populist causes like going against the AIG bonuses, but there's been pushback there as well because he's put on the side of a lot of the bailout folks. What do you think about him as an opponent?
Well, he's certainly not as unpopular personally as Dodd, and so that makes him a tougher opponent. But he believes in the same failed ideology. He wants to go to the Senate to carry on Dodd's legacy. I want to go to the Senate to put an end to it.
What would you put an end to specifically, Peter?
Well, I mean, everything that he stands for, everything that he's done. Dodd and his cronies in Congress have spent a career undermining the free market system. They've basically driven the country to now the verge of bankruptcy. I need to get to the Senate before they finish the job.
Yeah, but be specific, Peter. I mean, would you, for example, push for some quick elimination of the TARP program, or what? Be specific about what you plan to do.
Well, I don't want the U.S. government bailing out any private company. If a private company can't make a profit on its own, then it needs to fail. It needs to work out deals with its creditors without government interference. We need to believe in the free market system. That's what created this country. That's what made it so wealthy. We're destroying it with central government planning, with socialism. You know, Chris Dodd is orchestrating this big government takeover of health care. We need to do the opposite. We need to understand that it's government involvement in the health care system. That's the reason it's so expensive in the first place. We got to get government out of the economy so that the economy can function. You know, we've got, better than 10% of the population unemployed, 17% unemployed if you want to count the people who are working part-time and who are disgruntled. If we continue with these policies, we're going to double that unemployment rate.
Now, Connecticut is historically a pretty Democratic state, but now you have a very unpopular Democratic senator. You have a Democratic senator who became independent because he got dissatisfied with the Democratic Party. Do you think Connecticut is ready to switch over to the Republican side?
Well, I'm going to get them ready. I'm going to educate the electorate here in Connecticut so they understand that it's Washington. It's the Democrats that they've been electing and sending to Congress. They're the source of their problems. And if they're simply going to try to pretend that they can fix them with another government program, I'm going to let them know that all that's going to do is bring additional misery and additional pain to average Connecticut families.
All right. Now, Mr. Blumenthal has been on this show before. If we can coax him back, are you ready to take him on one-on-one?
Sure.
Okay.
Why not?
All right. We'll arrange it. Peter, great to see you. Thanks for being here. Stay warm. Peter Schiff from Euro Pacific Capital.
Are we going to talk about gold today?
Well, you have 30 seconds to talk about gold.
Because right before I came on,
even though it's up $20 or 21 bucks.
You're talking about the fact that the Fed is not worried about inflation. They're not worried about it. They want it. They're creating it. There's going to be massive inflation, but the viewers of this program, they better be worried about it. And Connecticut families, they better worry about it because it's going to wipe them out.
All right. Peter Schiff, a man who, even when we're talking about his own run for the Senate, can't stop talking about gold. This guy loves this stuff. Peter Schiff, good to see you. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me on.
Happy New Year. Well, baby, it is cold outside and it is